Hello, this is my neon guide on Breeze. We're gonna do things a bit differently this guide. We're gonna do a lot. I'm not gonna go through a bunch of hypotheticals of like how you play every site or how you play like every position. So on defense, it's gonna be a lot shorter and a lot more succinct, I think. So we usually only play here on neon on Breeze. Very rarely will I go anywhere else. Usually if I'm following a call or maybe we're going to stack A, then I will sit on A and I'll show you what I do if that actually happens. I don't ever really go through B main. It's usually always through mid, through this tunnel. And I'll show you the options I have, right? So the first thing I'm going to show you is the one that I do the most, thing that I do the most, which is I tend to just run and jump onto this using my sprint. What's it actually called? High gear. Okay, I'm not gonna say that. Okay, using the sprint, I get to this position by jumping on this rock and then jumping on this little rail or wall. And you just need to be careful at the start of the round that someone can peek you here. So you may want to just sit in this position for like 5 seconds, just to make sure like no one's pushing you. And you may even want to ask a teammate to like take over this position once you start watching it. Then you can then jump up, or you just, you're fairly confident that, there's probably not going to be someone there, so you're just going to run straight up here and start taking a fight with someone close mid, or someone really far back on A. You also have a position to watch A from here. If they start going into A, your teammates are coming it. There's most likely going to be a Viper wall up here, but you do have an angle where you can just get headshots if you just aim just over this railing. And you can get a bunch of headshots there, or like at least some decent damage of people crossing into the site. You can also play if you're on attack as well. If you're on attack, you also play post plan here, but we'll go over that very soon. I also do sometimes like to push elbow instead, which is where I literally don't use any util. I would just, when the barriers drop, I'm just walking. I'm just gonna be walking out here until I get to until I contact with someone here. I might just watch this for a second or two to see if anyone's going to be walking past, and then I'll start like peeking out and checking all the angles I need to check. And then some other stuff I do outside tunnels is that if I want to do an aggressive round, if I've got ult or something, I will also jump on there sometimes, but I will also do something like this where I will put my wall up and then fly to the end of my wall. You can also combine this with a stun too. So if I do this and then you can like stun like this, and it will stun this area. I also do this as well with at the start of the round. If I have someone peeking out this mid doors, like my jet is like has an op and wants to peek. No, not an op, but just want to peek. If it's an op, it might actually be better not to do this. But if they have a vandal, then this stun is pretty good because it'll stun this like main area, so it'll force them to like run up and fight the jet. If they have an op and they know that you're going to stun, then they'll probably hold it like this. That's how they should hold it, and maybe you can communicate that. It's very hard to communicate that, to be honest, when they don't understand this play. If they don't understand the play, they might do. But it requires them basically to understand Neon and do that exact same play. So it's very unlikely, and it's really hard to explain it to them, to like aim enough angle without like actually showing them. So I wouldn't recommend doing it if they have an operator. If they have a vandal, I think it's gonna be fine. And that's basically it. If they end up going B, I'm either gonna flank through elbow, or I'm going to come back and have my teammate on site. Usually there's a Viper wall cutting us off like this. I might end up doing a stun similar to this, where it's going to stun this pocket here, and it's going to stun the person running onto plant. I can also do a stun like this, which is usually I'm throwing a blind stun over there, so I don't know exactly where it lands most of the time. But usually I'm just aiming it at this wall using like the top part of this wall for reference, because I'm going to be able to see that over the Viper wall, but I can't see what I'm actually aiming at here. So usually I'm just going to aim somewhere like under this sort of area, because it's going to hit this wall. And it's going to stun these two portions, and usually I'm going to be combining this with running through and sliding onto the backside fight, onto this sort of fight. And that's basically it, honestly. The rest is kind of like mechanical, or like what's happening in the game. And then after that, I mean, I'll just show you what I do if we're gonna like stack B or something, or sorry, stack A. There's a reason. So for whatever reason, I want to play A this round. So I might actually decide to go like a Bucky close. Usually if you're not stacking it, sorry, if we are stacking it, then I probably won't do this if we're not stacking it. And I just decide to go A this round. Maybe they go A every round, and I want to have a bit more impact. Usually I actually don't feel that way on Neon because I can just run at them through the flank fairly easily. I have a way to get past like trips with my fast lane, so I'm not really too concerned about not having impact in the game on defense. If they don't come to my site. Because Neon just is that different. You can sort of get to places faster. You can definitely have the impact you want. So usually I would do something like this. Usually I actually do this on Jet usually, but it is very possible on Neon if you want to do this. And then the other thing, if we're stacking, I might have like a Frenzy in this corner or just a normal Classic in this corner if we're full saving. Depends how much money I've spent, or I'm able to spend. I might have a Sheriff. Usually probably not. Usually it's just probably a Classic in this corner, or I'm going to be sitting over here, or I'm going to be sitting on this corner. It's just basically I want to play in positions that you normally play on A, but I don't want to show myself at all. I don't want to be I don't want to be fighting. I don't want to be fighting this, because then it's obvious that maybe a stack, right? If they see a Neon that's been playing B every game or every round, that's all of a sudden A. So you want to play fairly close. It's basically how you normally play a stack. You don't want to be if you're the people from the other site. You don't want to be showing yourself, especially if it's very obvious, like especially if you're like the anchor of the site as well. That would literally be the biggest giveaway ever. Yeah, we're gonna move on to attack, I think. Okay, so on attack, I'm gonna show A first. What I do on A. So usually when the round starts, if we're going A, I'm going to be going through shop, and it depends if they go aggressive or not, right? Most of the time I'm slow through here. Depends on if my team is. If more of my team is stepping, I'm going to be running through to try and be first, right? And I'm going to be waiting for my util here. This is one of the biggest mistakes you can make as a duelist. You don't want to be peeking this. Just randomly drive, right? You want to wait for your Viper wall to go up. You want to be waiting for maybe a Silver Drone, a Sky Flash, KO knife, something like that, right? You want to be waiting for all your util to land. And have impact before you go in, right? The amount of times I'm playing Sova or playing another agent that has like a bunch of utility that wants to help my person into the site, but they just peek instantly and die with no util being thrown, is quite annoying. So as a duelist, it's your job to make sure like you understand when you have to go in or when you do go in. Like what util are you looking for you to make the site take easier? And on Breeze A, it's definitely the Viper wall going up. And you want to be looking for like a drone, close flash if there's someone there, maybe off the drone information, maybe a dart back sight. You want to be communicating that with your team or understanding what your team is capable of in that round. So in a save round you might not be expecting a drone to go out, right? So it'd be a bit harder, but maybe in pistol you will. Depends on what the guy bought, right? You have to look at what he's bought, if he has a drone or not or something like that. Usually, I mean, the Viper's always going to have wall because it's the default thing to have. So you're always going to be waiting for the wall, really, on here. Unless there's, like, certain circumstances where the Vipers managed to die before it putting up the wall or die before you've gone out. So maybe they decided to lurk up tube and died fast. But yeah, you want to be looking for those things. And then when I go out, I usually don't fast lane if my Viper wall's up. If my Viper wall isn't up, like, for instance, they've died, I'm going to be doing this fast lane to get to backslide. But if the Viper wall is up, I'm going to be saving my fast lane. If there's someone in close angles, we're going to maybe flash him out. I might end up stunning it as well to fight the guy. I can also do a support. I also do a support stun like this if we get onto site, because it just stops people from swinging the Viper smoke, Viper wall, to do a stun like this, right? It stops them from just swinging that smoke, and I can get up for free while running. Very, very important thing to do. Like this. Maybe don't stun yourself though, I almost did. Yeah, that's basically it for going through A. You just want to be making sure that you use your teammates' util to your advantage. And then through mid. So in mid, there are multiple things to do. I did do a stream highlights video as well. You may have seen what some of the stuff I did on stream. Playing Neon on Breeze. And this was one of the walls that I always do. If I go mid, just blocks off the mid fight. And also if I do like this, right? Okay, let's break it down. Like, what's the difference between the two walls? So this wall allows me to go through this little section, and I can go out here and here, and no one knows what I'm doing, right? But if I fire it here, sorry, if I fire it here, I'm isolating a fight on this guy that I don't want to take until I'm like maybe a bit closer, or maybe I have to play this slow. If I do this wall, I want to be playing it slow, like taking this fight sort of deal, right? And they might like swing it. I'm just talking about that because I remember it being the chamber, but you know, maybe the person here wants to take a fight on you if you do like this. But what I would do most of the time is just do this, because it makes it really hard for the enemy team to know which side you want to come out of. From the tunnel's perspective and the door's perspective, they don't know where you're going to go. And so what I like to do is I actually just like to put this up and then go on this side of the wall, and then just try and kill someone that's close. Sometimes I'll be in this corner, especially if you stun it. So the stun for this is honestly really simple. You just do this. It's going to stun these two angles. They can sit in this little angle, so you want to be careful of that. That's going to be the first place you aim at. You want to do something like this. And then yeah, you want to aim like that. Obviously it'd be a lot faster when I'm like dialed into the game. Something like this. And then I can fight this person there. Yeah, that's basically it for mid. You know, I'm going to go through the doors and try and fight for A. If I want to go through mid to B, then I might go on this side. You might see Fnatic at Althea do a wall like this, right? And this wall is really strong too, because you can kind of get straight up to here for free. Usually would pair this with a breach, but I wouldn't recommend playing breach unless you are a duo and you want to play neon breach together. I think it can be strong, but I wouldn't just randomly say to a solo queue player to play breach, because breach is not the best of agents and is actually hard to get value out of if the person doesn't know how to play them. But if you are a duo and you can understand that you can communicate, and you understand like how you want to play breach with the neon, then it can be really, really strong and oppressive to deal with. Things like having a flash through here when you want to fight on the edge of this wall is really, really nice to have. If you don't have it, then that's fine. You can still do this wall. It's still pretty good. Obviously, there don't always be a gap here, so you won't be taking a fight when the wall drops on the tunnel person, or maybe someone even backside. And that's pretty much it for mid. If you want to go B, well, actually, let's go through elbow first. So elbow, I barely ever go through elbow. It's only when we want to play slow that I'm going to think about going through elbow. If I feel like I can get a kill on maybe the person playing nest, or if I can get maybe a lurk, like walking through to tunnel. Maybe they don't really have anyone that plays tunnels. They have like maybe two double operator set up, and they decide to actually that's the opposite of what it would be. So it would be, they have a double operator setup, they have a lot more resources to allocate to tunnels. If they don't have an like double operator setup, if they have like zero operators, they're gonna have a decent chance of maybe leaving tunnel open in solo queue. So if tunnel's open in solo queue, I can maybe just walk through, and try and find one on backside. Bear in mind that if the tunnel is open, they will be looking here, so you're gonna be careful of that. You can also try and walk CT. As you see, you're not even that visible from many angles, right? It's just this angle, and backside this angle, before you can actually walk here, and then you can take a fight on this side. I know I've been cut off guard by that before. And last thing we're going to go over is B. So going into B, there's like this main angle is the first angle you're going to fight, right? But it is usually going to get smoked off in reality. So if it's a Viper smoke, you probably want to wait for it to go down, especially if she's volleying it as well, because you're going to take a lot of damage that you don't really need to take. And then when it's down, right, you're probably going to have a Viper wall that goes across, or like splits the site probably near the wall. And because of that, you want to be stunning like vital positions. So you want to stun like this because it stops you from dying from this angle. You can also see that you've got like this lip of the wall here, and you can stun using this too. And it stops people from sitting really close with shotguns until like this corner, and then you can stun it again if you want. Bear in mind it's kind of maybe a waste, and you really would just have like a server drone or something. And if when you apply off that, right, you can also bounce it off this little wall to get that corner too. So you can do like stuns like this, to, like, sort of follow up on each other. Okay, or just, don't miss it like me. Do something like this. So they basically have like nowhere to go, and they're gonna get stunned for free. And with the wall, if you know, once again, same thing. If the Viper's dead, you know, you can place a wall to have begun to sight. If the Viper's not dead, you can try and isolate the fight if you want to, or come out in like a very, very weird position. So you can do something like this. Bear in mind, this also affects back sight too. Sorry if I take that in. You can see it also affects back sight too. If you do it above the wall, and that could also affect like how the enemy team are going to think about playing this. And you can maybe catch someone like this through the smoke, and because they might be playing in this corner and being like safe against like your fast lane, and you might be able to get a free fight if you just like run over here and try and shoot them through the smoke. Bear in mind that they will hear you and they might try and spray you too. Honestly, Neon's pretty simple on Breeze. Her game plan is fairly simple. You just want to be fairly aggressive, and get in the enemy's face and try and beat them mechanically. At the same time, you want to be smart. You want to make sure that your teammates are helping you get into sites. You want to communicate what you're doing. You want to communicate like how you want to play, especially on attack. I think on defense you can kind of get away with it. Actually, no, that's probably all the way around. Once again, on defense you probably want to be a lot more vocal with what you want to do, because generally your teammates probably going to be a bit more defensive. They're going to be trying to say their util for the enemy's pushes and things like that. And you want to know, like, you know, if your teammates can't spare that, you know, maybe you want a recon dart, but the server wants to keep it for a push, and that sort of stuff, right? You want to be communicating that. You don't want to be expecting something you're not going to get. And at the same time as well, on attack, you want to be communicating like when you want to go out, and like what you're waiting for. You know, can we put the Viper wall up, that sort of stuff, right? You want to be asking for the util. If you are a duelist, you want to be making sure that your actions are clear to your teammates, so then their util comes in at like good timings and in the correct positions. So yeah, that's pretty much it for Neon. A lot of general stuff going on as well, with Neon, just general duelist things. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, then give me a like and subscribe if you want to see more. Goodbye.